Hey everyone, today we are diving into something that I think a lot of us can relate to. That feeling that your career is just draining you instead of actually lighting you up. We're going to look at some really powerful ways to help you shift from that feeling of burnout to having a real breakthrough. Let's get into it.
So let me just ask you straight up. Does this sound familiar? You know, that feeling of being completely exhausted or maybe kind of cynical about a job that you used to be excited about? It's this thing that can just creep in so slowly, and then one day you look up and realize, wow, this is my normal now.
If that hits home for you at all, the very first thing you need to hear is this: you are definitely not alone. And maybe even more important, what you're feeling, it is not a personal failure. It's not a sign that you're weak. It's actually a pretty normal response to some really tough circumstances that are just becoming way too common.
In fact, the World Health Organization has a specific name for it, burnout. And I want you to pay close attention to their wording here. They call it an occupational phenomenon, not a medical condition. Now, that little distinction is huge because it frames burnout not as something that's wrong with you, but as the result of ongoing, unmanaged stress at work.
Okay, so how do we start to push back against this? Well, a lot of the time, the first step is just getting back in touch with our why. And there's this amazing tool for that from Japanese culture. It's called ikigai. It's all about finding your reason for being.
You know, this search for meaning, it's not just some fluffy, nice-to-have thing anymore. For so many people, especially Gen Z and millennials, having a sense of purpose is totally non-negotiable. It's way more than a paycheck. It's about feeling like your work actually means something. Ikigai is basically this sweet spot, right? It's where four really important questions overlap. What do you love doing? What are you actually good at? What does the world need right now? And, of course, what can you get paid for? Right in the middle, where all four of those circles meet, that's your ikigai. It's like a compass for your career. And honestly, a great way to start is just to grab a piece of paper, draw these four circles, and just start writing. No judgment. Just get the ideas down.
So once you start getting a feel for your why, the next big question is how, right? How do you actually build a life around that purpose? For that, we can borrow some really cool tools from the world of design. And this is the core idea from this framework out of Stanford called Designing Your Life. It totally reframes how you look at things. Your life isn't some single destination you have to magically find. Nope. It's an ongoing project that you are always creating. It's about being the designer, not just a passenger along for the ride.
And here's an idea that might just take a huge weight off your shoulders. That pressure to find the one perfect career, it's a total myth. Research actually shows that, on average, we have over 3 completely different potential lives inside of us. So what that means is there isn't just one right path for you, there are many.
So how do you start exploring these different lives? Well, there's this awesome tool called the Odyssey Plan. Basically, you map out 3 different 5-year futures. Life 1 is pretty simple. It's your current path, just played out for 5 years. Life 2 is your plan B. What would you do if your current path just vanished tomorrow? And life 3? That's the wild card. That's the life you would live if money and what other people think were completely off the table. The point isn't to pick one right now. It's to prototype them. Maybe by just having a coffee with someone who's living that wildcard life.
Now, as you're designing these futures, who you talk to about them matters a lot. The authors make this brilliant distinction between getting advice and getting counsel. See, advice is someone telling you what they would do. Counsel, on the other hand, is someone helping you figure out what you want to do. So the key here is to build a team of counselors, not just advisors.
Okay, let's switch gears for a minute. For those of you who aren't just thinking about the future, but are really struggling with burnout right now, let's talk about the path to recovery. How do you start to heal and build yourself back up?
First off, there is absolutely hope. And this isn't just wishful thinking. It's backed by data. With consistent, focused therapy, a lot of people start to see real, meaningful improvements within about 6 to 8 weeks. Recovery doesn't happen overnight, but it is absolutely possible.
A really simple way to think about this journey is the 3 R's. First, you have to recognize the signs, and not just brush them off as just stress. Second, you actively work to reverse the damage by putting new strategies into place. And finally, you build resilience for the long haul, creating habits that will help prevent it from coming back.
And for that reverse step, getting professional help can be a total game changer. There are several proven approaches that really work. For instance, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, helps you challenge and change those negative thought patterns. Acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, helps you make room for difficult feelings. And mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, uses mindfulness to literally change your relationship with stress itself.
As we start to bring all this together, There's one core idea that's really the engine behind all of these tools, whether you're finding your ikigai, designing your life, or recovering from burnout. And that's the psychological power of self-efficacy.
To put it simply, self-efficacy is your belief in yourself. It's not about how skilled you are on paper, it's about your confidence that you can actually use your skills to make things happen. It's that little voice inside that says, yeah, I can do this.
And just look at the massive difference this one belief makes. When you have high self-efficacy, you see a tough task as a challenge to be mastered, not some personal threat you have to avoid. You bounce back from setbacks so much faster because you see failure as a lack of effort, not a lack of ability. That mindset shift, it's everything.
I mean, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's the difference between leaning into a challenge versus shrinking away from it. This belief in your own ability to make a difference is what fuels real, lasting change.
And that brings us right back to the beginning. See, these tools we've talked about, they aren't just abstract exercises. The act of finding your purpose, of prototyping your future, of learning how to heal, these are all real, practical ways to build that fundamental belief in your own power to shape your life.
So the real question isn't just what you've learned, it's what you're going to do with it. The frameworks are here, the tools are in your hands. So what is one small thing you can do today to start prototyping a life that feels more purposeful and more like you?